watching the Forefront Church video podcast. And wherever you're at viewing online, we just want to say thank you and welcome. And one of the ways that we can help connect with you is we want to hear from you and where you're at and how we can help. And so head over to forefrontchurch.info after the message and click the Connect tab. It's a great way for us to help you along your spiritual journey as you connect with God and learn about Jesus. And so sit back, relax. We hope that you're challenged and encouraged from today's message. All right, 10 a.m., how are we doing? Everybody online, welcome everybody that's watching online. We're glad that you guys are with us too. Happy Father's Day for you guys watching. Happy Father's Day to you guys. Somebody is pumped. Yeah, I knew what to do one time. All right, and so I am known at my house as the monster killer when it comes to my three daughters, Chloe, Roxy, and Kinley, who are 10, about to be 8, and 3. And they have operated in different ways when it comes to what does it mean for daddy to come to the rescue when there is a monster. And, this doesn't happen now that they're older as much, although, some of our kids, our oldest one, she still sleeps with the closet door open. I'm like, why is that? She's like, I don't know what's in there. I was like, well, if there's something in there that makes it easier for it to get out. And she's like, yay! And so... Great dad. And so, but when they were younger, and they would have moments where they thought that there was a monster in the room. So Chloe, our oldest, when she was younger, she'd go, Daddy, 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 you need to kill it, you need to kill it. And she would run into our room and jump on our bed and tell me I need to go kill it. I was like, all right, well, come with me. And she's like, no. And you need to go in there. So I would go in there, and she needed to know. I would walk in, and it's taken care of. No, I didn't hear you do anything. And so I'd have to go in there and just say a bunch of stuff she could hear from the other room. I'm like, oh, come here, monster. But I was the only one in the room, but I would still be acting it out. And so I'm dragging a monster. I would think about this from time to time, like, what am I doing? And I'm yelling this stuff as I drag a monster out, and I'd get in the headlock, beat it up, and I'd open up the window, throw the monster out, and go in, and the monster's gone. Then she'd go back into her room. And I don't want the monster in there. It's gone, baby, you can't get in. So then our middle child, Roxy, she would come in, run to, Daddy, Daddy, there's a monster. And I'm like, all right, I'll go in there. She's like, no, I need you to come with me. She wanted to go and be a part, but she needed a sidekick. She wanted someone there because she felt like she was in danger, but she knew that she had to call in the big guns and bring things along and be able to help her. So we'd walk in there, all right, where's the monster? She's like, I don't know, you need to find it. And so I'm like, is it over here? She's like, no. I'm like, well, if you don't know. And so there was this weird game of improv until I'm like, she's like, it's over there. And I would run and grab, Dad, grab it. She's like, no, I guess I'm just grabbing air. And I'd finally grab it, we'd get rid of it, and then she would go to bed. Well, now we have Kinley, who decided she's not going to sleep in her bed. She's going to sleep in my bed. So we get all the nighttime rib kicks, and she's in there, and then she'll wake up and they're like, Daddy, there's a monster. Where? In my room. Well, no, you waved bye-bye to your room a long time ago. You sleep in our bed, so if there's a monster in there, if I get it out, are you going to sleep in there? She's like, no. I don't like being scared, Daddy. I want you to get rid of it. Get rid of it. I don't like being scared. But she actually feels fine. Gets scared all kinds of ways, but if I scare her, I'm notorious for hiding around our house and just waiting. I'm like, and I'll wait for 20 minutes. I don't even care. I'm like, I got the time. And so I will wait in our house, and I'll be like, good. The look of terror on her face is so good. But then she'll be like, Daddy, that was good. And I can scare her, but nobody else can, everything else. And it's interesting to watch. With all three daughters, they react differently when they don't feel like they have protection, but they do know this. If you were to ask any of my kids, they're like, hey, and Daddy's around. When your daddy's around, can anything hurt you? No, because Daddy's here. every single one of them, and they'll say, nothing can hurt me, nothing or whatever, which may not play out well if they do actually get injured and I am there for any time. Daddy, I thought you said that nothing can harm me because you're here. I'm like, eh. And so we're riding that wave as long as we can. But they love the fact, and they believe it to be true, that when their father is close by, that they can't be harmed. That they have a sense of protection because daddy is around. And I love that, and it plays so well into what we're looking at today. And we've been in this series, I Love the 90s, where we're looking at Psalms 90 through 99 and looking at how it applies to your life and to mine. And when it comes to Father's Day, I think we could say with a really great sense of resolve that, man, we all want to be protected. We all want to have this feeling of protection. And well, for many of us growing up, it was, a dad, a coach, or somebody that just really gave us a sense of, hey, if something goes wrong, I know you have my back. And we're looking in Psalm 91 today. And so if you have a Bible, why don't you turn over there? It's Psalm 91. If you don't have a Bible, a couple ways you can do this. If you guys are here with us this morning and not online, you can go stop by the Get Connected table, grab a Bible. It's free. And so you can turn on over there, grab one after service. Or if you're online or even here live with us, go to forefrontchurch.info and click over on the notes tab, and all the notes about what we're going to be talking about. We do this every single week are right there for you. So if you're like me and you just get distracted easily and you're like squirrel or like hamster falls asleep at the wheel, that's so good for you because then you could follow along, take some notes, and then email all of that and your notes back to yourself and keep up with what's going on. And we're over in Psalm 91, and this is looked at. We don't see a lot about the author and some other things, but what we do see is that and people have said, maybe it's this guy David, and if you've been around church at all, you think David and Goliath, they think maybe it might have been him, but there's something about the sense of what God does in protection for you and I. How do we live that out and really trust him, and how do we pass that on to those that are in our care and surround our lives each and every day? So it starts over in Psalm 91, starting in verse 1. It says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers. Under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. As he talks about you and I, you will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord, and really live this out, the Lord is my refuge, and make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come to your tent, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways, and they will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra, which sounds awesome. You will trample a great lion and a serpent, duly awesome. Because he loves me, the Lord says, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Man, I just think that is absolutely amazing. That God has said, I will protect you. I will comfort you. I will be the one that walks this out with you. If you are in fear, if you are in doubt, if you are in turmoil, if you are in a panic, if you're having anxiety, if you have been wounded by a friend, if you have grown up in a broken home and things have been difficult, if you fall into addiction, if you fall into hurt, all these things, God says, I will be with you and I will protect you even in the midst of the storm. And I hear people ask this question, well, how do I get that protection from God? How do I have that connection with God? I think I go to church, which is an awesome step. That's amazing. Being able to walk in and worship and learn, and I go, all right, well, I got that down and check. And we kind of make faith like this checklist, and it's not like that. It's a relationship. It's moving through and believing this and having a lifestyle change. That doesn't mean and there's places where this happens, that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to put on a three-piece suit and get dressed to the nines and walk into church and hidely ho, neighbor, how's it going? Hey, good, the Lord is good. All this stuff, the Lord is good, but we don't, sometimes people think like, man, I got to change everything about myself. Well, there is a change, but man, God looks at the heart, not at the wardrobe. And as we look at this, how do I fall under his protection? I was writing down some notes, and protection comes in our nearness to God, not in our distance from our pain and enemies. And this is what a lot of people say. We had a series a while back, just recently, where we had this whole side of the stage was just desolate and awful, and then this was flourishing, which I felt bad for our drummer, who for 9 weeks, all the drummers had to drum in like this wasteland. There's just like dead trees around, and it's dark. I was like, oh, sorry guys, and everybody over here like la 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 la, playing their thing, and but that's what happens in life, right? Is that people want to come and engage the divine and engage faith because they go, my life feels desolate and I want it to flourish. I want it to be amazing. And so we say, God, take away pain, take away suffering, take all this stuff, take away my enemies, do whatever you need to do because I just want to see what's great. And we would say it this way, but God doesn't remove us from all harm. He uses harm, uses difficult situations. He doesn't cause them. But he uses those situations to draw us close to him. If you're a parent, if you ever had a moment where your kid just kind of has dislodged from what you taught them, they're getting mouthy, they're getting a little they're in those moments where you're like, I'm not going to spank my child, I'm not going to spank my child, and then you're just like, I got to do whatever, and it's just like it's a knee-jerk reaction. You're like, where did that come from? If you've ever had that moment where you're just like, I don't even know. We've been there. But we have these moments where you just go, man, I'm in a difficult time when it comes to my kids, when it comes to work, when it comes to my job, relationships. And we go, man, God, take it away. Make my kid great, make my job great, make my spouse great, make all of it. Just let that happen. And this is our prayer. We pray, God, make all that go away. And instead, God, what I want to see things that are spectacular. I want to see the mountaintop moments. I want to see these moments where everything's awesome, like the Lego movie. I just want, not that song though, and if you have that in the head for the rest of your day, you're welcome. And so we want to see, we go, God, take away the bad, don't want any of that, and maybe, but let's see this, by show of hands, and you can even put a little hand emoji online. Show of hands, if you've ever been around somebody that's prayed, they're in a situation, and they wanted God to completely remove it because they didn't like where they were at in life. Show of hands, how many of you seen that? Yeah, so quite a few of you guys. And you may have even prayed that prayer before. You're like, guys, I really need to let you know. And this happens in small groups. I don't like what's happening in my life. I just wish God would make it go away. I just want it to go away. I just want to see the amazing stuff. And God uses those difficult times to really stretch us, to mold us. You can look back in life over time, and if you're in a situation now where you just go, man, I'm not quite sure what God's plan is in all this. I know he didn't cause it, but man, I wish he'd take it away. I want to challenge you a year from now, 2 years from now, a decade from now. You're going to look back and you go, man, God really used that opportunity to stretch me and grow me in ways that I never thought I would have otherwise. We didn't see that at all when we were going through a miscarriage early on in our marriage. And then years later, coming back around, the number of people that we've walked through grief and loss, that have dealt with kids and these type things where they lost a child or they lost a loved one. My wife and I have helped walk people through that. Why? Well, because God didn't cause that experience, but God used that experience to teach us stuff, to bring us through on the other side. And I had the opportunity recently, I shared a few weeks back, to go to Louisville, Kentucky, or as some of the natives there put, they go, whoa. It's like they got peanut butter stuck in their mouth. And so I went to Louisville, Kentucky. And I went there and I got this, it was a ministry kind of, powwow conference thing, and there were only a handful of guys that were at it. It was amazing. And one of the guys, they got up and they said, hey, we're going to be hearing from this guy. He's 91 years old and he's playing a bunch of shows. I'm like, wait. And they're like, yeah, he drove here 5+ hours to be here with us. And I'm like, that's not safe at all. he's 91 years old. He shouldn't be doing any driving. Like, where's this driver? He's like, yeah, no, he drove himself, whatever. And I have all these preconceived notions in my head. And you may have somebody that's 91 in your life. You're like, no, they should never have a license or a motor vehicle or keys or anything. Like, you're just like, let's help them, whatever. Nope. And so I had all these preconceived notions of like, what is this guy going to be able to teach us, whatever. And he comes running in the room like Carl Lewis. Like, he just comes running, and I'm like, what is going on? All these misconceived, like, he is trucking in the room and walks up, and I'm like, I hope, is he okay? Like, is that going to kill him? Like, that walk right there? And the guy's name's Ben Merrill, phenomenal guy in the church world. He's planted a few churches in his lifetime thus far, and the churches right now that he's planted number in attendance currently at about 11,000, the number of churches, and just a phenomenal guy. And he is actually on a teaching team at a church now at 91 years old, regular rotation getting up. And so like he gets in there, I'm like, I have no clue what to expect, except like he's got his little vest on and he's doing his thing, and I was like, man, I can't wait till I get old enough to not care about what people think and wear sweet vests and stuff. There's all kinds of goals I have for my wardrobe that will be super awkward, and I'm like, I just don't care, I earned it. I'm wearing socks to here and pants up to my third rib, and it's gonna be great. And he gets up and he shares one of the most phenomenal talks over the course of an hour that I've ever heard in my life. And he's talking to this premise of that we expect that we just go, man, God, I want to get rid of the pain. I want to follow Jesus, but I don't want all that stuff. God, just show me the mountaintop experiences. And he shared about how we miss these moments in the middle of our plight. And we will never be able to hand over what it means to live in the protection of God because we've never sat in the moments of pain to watch the miraculous protection of God. And this is what Ben shared. He said, if Jesus is speaking into your life, if he's really the one you believe in to protect you, you won't miss the supernatural, the miraculous, the ever-changing moments because you're chasing the spectacular. And I meet people all the time that walk through the door. I want to leave the desolation, I want to move in God, and I just want everything to be like that song, Walking on the Sunshine. I just want it to be awesome. I want to run, everything's rainbows and butterflies and amazing. I don't want any hurt, I don't want any pain. And what he warned us, and it was so good, was, hey, listen, if you think that Jesus is the one that guides you and protects you, don't keep chasing the mountaintop experiences because it's in the mundane moments, sometimes the heated moments, sometimes the hurtful moments, where God is going to show off just how amazingly spectacular he really is by doing the supernatural and the miraculous in your life. So don't keep chasing these mountaintop moments thinking everything's going to be this high point, because that's going to leave you feeling pretty empty. But when you walk through life and you're following his protection, you're going to watch these little moments. I watch the miraculous when I put my daughters to bed. And they smile and they ask me to pray with them. I watch the miraculous every single Sunday and the supernatural when I watch parents who go, there's no way my kid's ever going to like it back there. My kid is just so weird, whatever. Which usually 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I would venture, it's usually because there's separation anxiety because the parent's a little overwhelming, not because the kid doesn't want to go back there. Because after a couple minutes, the kid's like, this is awesome. And then the parent picks them up. They're like, that's so weird. They actually liked it. And now they're fighting me. They don't want to leave. And I go, yeah, if you would just let them be, they'll be fine. And I watch these moments where they light up. I watched a moment right before service where there was one little girl crying in our 2- and 3-year-old class, and the leader was trying to comfort him right before this service. And the other kid that was crying, was like, and the leader was a little like, I can't get him to stop. Not like mad, but just like, can't get him to stop. And another little kid that was sitting beside him grabbed the other little kid and put the little kid in their lap. The kid stopped crying. And I was like, I'm not crying, you're crying, whatever. And I watch these moments happen. I'm just like, man, that is so cool. God, you are absolutely amazing. If you don't get anything else, my prayer, watching the line in here that you get this, is that God's strength makes us strong. His comfort comforts us with him because we want to run this race. We're busy, we're fast, we're doing all this stuff, we're just running. And the biggest thing, and we talk about this a lot, that people say, hey, let's get together, hey, let's do this, oh, I'd like to, man, but we've been really busy. Yeah, you're only busy because your priorities are out of whack. Jason, we have a lot going on, you don't understand. And I go, no, with God we no longer need to run, but instead we get rest. I want to encourage you that you are unique and amazing and made by God, but you're not a unicorn. You are not this anomaly where God calls you, no, you're strong on your own. You have comfort on your own. You need to keep running because you're so important. God will bring you rest because he is our protector. And I was thinking of this in light of Father's Day. We have a generation and people will look down at a next generation. They'll look down, then they grow up and they'll look down on them for something else. And I hear adults bad-mouthing millennials and whatever, which my wife is a millennial. I'm like, seriously? Anyway. And I'm like, somebody was bad-mouthing. I just let them go the other day. There's millennials are this, millennials are that. I was like, if you ever remember, oh, your wife is so awesome. I was like, my wife is a millennial. And you just wash their whole face. They're like, and leave and go away. And I just wonder, and it's every generation does it the generation before, and I just wonder if maybe we have to stop and look in the mirror and think about it for ourselves, that what's done today influences generations, and every matter matters for eternity. And so if we are going to pass on what it means to live in the protection of God, we also have to start to live it. And I would say this to dads. You know, I love you. I am your cheerleader. I'm your coach. I am rooting for you. But when it comes to this, we have to be people that understand the protection of God and live in it so we can pass that on to those that are in our care and in our stead. I'm an avid bike rider. I absolutely love it. And I have bike racks and we would take my bike places and go. And one of the ways that makes this really great is I am able to pop the wheel off really easily. They have just a little skewer here for the axle, and I can twist this off, pop the wheel off, put my bike on the top of the car, have a little thing, put my wheel on, and I will tighten it so my wheel doesn't fly off into interstate traffic. And then I'll go about my business. I'll find the place that I'm going to ride, take the bike off, put the wheel on, but there is a critical step once you put the wheel on the bike. You have to make sure that you tighten this little lever, or else your wheel could go all over the place, and it'll be a bad scene. And so the other day, I packed my bike up, and I was going to go riding, and so I got to the place, got the bike down, put the wheel on, did the thing, and I just started riding. Well, I had forgotten to tighten this little guy. All it is this. It's a little simple thing. That takes like a second. I forgot. And so I'm riding along, doing my thing, and I hit a bump. Your life will change when you hit a bump and you haven't locked your wheel on. That thing, so the fork of it comes off, and I just watch my wheel, and everything hits slow motion. And I immediately turn into Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. And I didn't get hurt, like everything was fine, but I was like, combat roll, grab the bike. I was like, that was bad, and looked, and sure enough, I hadn't latched the thing in place. And I meet people who say, I want to follow Jesus, I think I'm following Jesus, but I don't feel his protection, I don't feel his presence. I go, have you done what he says? Do you live your life to what he actually has called us to do? Well, yeah, I do. And then I'll sit with people very regularly who I'll say, well, how are you doing with connecting with him in the Word? Well, how are you doing with being a part of the collective body and worshiping together? Well, I got a lot going on. The thing, I'm busy. I was like, I get that. I was like, God doesn't change. God has set forth these things. He goes, I am not changing. I will be with you. But oftentimes, we don't click into the full potential of what God can do in our life, and then we wonder why crazy things go down. And we go, I don't understand why God's protection's not around. God goes, you wandered off a long time ago, I've been right here, and I'm going to protect you, but you need to come back and be about what's true. And what we do and how we model this will impact the eternity, not just for us, but for others. And, today being Father's Day, I was thinking on, the impact that my dad had on me and the life that he has led up to this point and just models for us. So I started grabbing some pictures of us. I think those shorts are now officially illegal in like 48 states. You should never wear shorts that are so close to your skin tone, ever. I know that the shirts, the I Love Fig Newton shirts, were my mom's idea. It's so you can shame her. And that was so that they could find us in a theme park. I'm like, well, if we need to find us, then we've been lost and you are a bad parent. So that did not get me very far as a kid in life. But man, that shirt, I just need to stop looking at those shorts. And so there he is. My mom and dad actually come to Forefront here. And it's really cool to watch. But I remember, my dad, even when I was still like wrestling with whether or not I believed in God, he was a middle school leader. And I can't say enough about people who pour into middle school and high school kids. It's It's a thankless job, but it's amazing, and you have a bigger impact than you ever imagined. And so he took a bunch of middle school boys and girls away to camping, which, I mean, he is going to be rewarded in heaven for that for sure. And so it was just him and a couple other leaders, took us all camping and to this place called Green Acres, which if you're over the age of 40, now you're singing that tune, Green Acres is a place. If you're under 40, you have no idea, and that's okay. You get PlayStation, we get Green Acres. And so he took us to this place, and it was fun. There's a pool. There's even we could go up to the big bunkhouse, and there was an arcade there, but you could still go tent camping. So it was a little bit of everything. And there were some spiritual moments, and he was leading us. And I remember the verse, and I remember it so vividly. I even have it etched into. Not only is it taped to the front of my Bible that's inside there, but also my Bible cover etched in there, because this lesson meant so much to me back then that it stayed with me to this day. He was sharing this passage out of Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. And in a timeless truth, he was encouraging us, man, there's going to be moments where you guys are afraid, where life is hard. You're going to feel like you're not under the protection of God, et cetera, et cetera. And he shares this passage, says, brothers and sisters, please take heed of this. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. It's been one of these truths that just hit me at the right time, at the right place. And if you're new to faith, the next three things that we're going to look at, and you're still exploring the divine, you're not really sure if you follow God, my hope is that in prayer is that you would begin to follow these things and it'll change your life. And it'll change your life so drastically in a good way that people around you will go, man, I want what you have. And maybe for you followed God for a while, but you've kind of wavered a little bit in your faith. You've let other lies kind of sink in with, Satan has just tempted you with these things, and you're believing these lies to be true. That my hope is that you can recommit to what God has in store for you. Because when we get to a day like Father's Day, and we look at the impact that it has when adults just lead other people and they follow Jesus and their example just pours in, it's absolutely amazing. And there's three truths from this passage in Psalm to also this study that my dad led us in that just rocked me. And the first one is this: to be close to God. And then it might be like, well, that kind of makes sense. Like if you're going to follow God, I guess you need to be close to him. But this idea, this theme escapes so many people. They come to church not to be the church. They come to church, a destination. Instead of saying this is a lifestyle, they come to church, they worship, they leave, they go, cool, I was close to God. And then the rest of their week, we're here for roughly an hour. So there's another 167 hours where they go, I'm going to flirt, I'm going to be a fan of God, I'm not going to be a follower. And it's to really be close. It's like that passage in Psalms. Shares this in 91, the very first verse. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High God will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. You will be so close to him that even in his protection that you will be able to be covered by him no matter what you face. When we're driving, my daughters, they'll be in the back seat. And when the sun, you ever had a moment where the sun's really bad? Well, as an adult, you can move the sunshade. You can do all kinds of stuff. Now cars are newfangled. They got all these things. My little car has none of those things. And so the sun will be going through and I'll be like, Daddy, I can't see. It's awful, especially in the morning driving them to school. And I'm like, what do I do? And so I will try to block the sun for them as I'm driving. And I end up in this weird pose. And they're like, that's good. And the rest of the time, I am driving to school, in this contorted pose, just so I can block the sun from them. We'll be out in the summertime and it'll be hot, and then the sun will be beating down and they will come hide behind me. Oh, it's so much better. I was telling my daughters the other day, I was like, yeah, Daddy's been really good. I've been waking up early, been working out, been eating healthy. And so, Daddy losing weight. And Chloe, our oldest, like, no. And I'm like, why? She goes, because then you won't have enough shade for us, which... Those kind of backhanded compliments, the kids will hurt you, man. Kids will hurt you. I was listening to her, and then I was getting excited because I was hoping, and then she said, I was like, oh, cool. I'm just going to go cry in the corner. No. But it's this moment where we go, I want to be close to the Father, that even if I am just merely in his shadow, that I will be protected, because I want to be that close. The next piece of this is to be strong. Now, I'm not talking about, man, you need to be strong. You need to, because I hear dads, and I've seen this happen where a kid will be crying, especially if it's a young boy, and they'll be like, they'll tell it, you need to man up. I'm like, he's 2. He's 5. There's nothing manly about him. He's 5. He's still not sure if he wants to go in the potty or not. Like, give him a rest. Like, and I'll hear this, and as dads get older and as this thing happens, I watch this take place. I'm like, man, we need to be careful what we define as being strong. Being strong does not mean sitting on the couch watching your favorite football team. We're going to win today. First of all, we is not what's going to happen. They are going to play. You are going to sit and gouge yourself with cheese balls and loaded nachos. You're going to play nothing. You are going to have an overpriced jersey. But other than that, you aren't getting a paycheck from anything. I always hear people say that, we're going to win today. Really? You're not on payroll. And I watch this like it is not about wearing the jersey and doing all this stuff. It's not about going out, we're going to go hunting and do it. That's fine. It's not about grilling out. That's not what it means to be strong. Some of the strongest moments that I watched my dad happen were when he received Master Chief in the Navy, is one of the youngest Master Chiefs in naval history. When my dad retired, when he lost his mom, and when each of my daughters were born, I watched my dad cry. And it was then that I got permission to really be strong from my dad. It was in those moments I knew what it meant to really focus on being strong, that it was okay to show emotion, but strength meant that you work well, you trust in who really has it under control. Just like over in the passage in Psalm, verses 5 and 6. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. Why? We are not going to do these things because we are going to be strong, not in our own merit, but in God. I remember years back when, and I shared this story years ago, the 2 kids got in a fight in PE class, and one of them got sent out to the field, and he threw a brick to try to hit the other kid, but he had almost good enough aim. The other kid ducked, and it hit me because I was slow and didn't see it. And I still have a little hook scar where they did regular stitches, and then I had dissolvable stitches the rest of the way. And they rushed me to ER, get all fixed up. And my dad was there. He was holding me. They put my members only jacket, saturated it in blood. Yeah, members only. It was a jam. And so there were all these orderlies holding me down. And I still remember my dad. This is one of the other times I remember watching him cry. He said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Daddy's here. Daddy's here. Daddy's here. And it was in that moment that I knew. And he set me up for success that day, watching him, and in other moments too, showing his strength, because I was able to watch that. And when, like I mentioned before, going through a miscarriage, like the only way that we were strong enough is because we trusted God. I trusted God because my dad modeled what it meant to trust God. I watched his faith played out. I watched my dad in the mornings open up his Bible, even when I said I hate going to church. And I'd watch my dad in the morning wake up and read his Bible in the beginning of the day. I watched my dad get excited about going to church and leading us there. I don't want to go. He's like, cool, you're going to go with us anyway. And I'd watch my dad sing, and I'd be angry and whatever. We didn't have devices, so we just learned what it meant to be bored and bitter. And so we would just sit there. And so you should try it sometime. But I didn't get to look at a device, so I looked at my dad. Even if though I was mad, but I watched him singing. And I watched my dad getting things ready at church. And what it did is it taught me to be strong in God and not in my own merit. And the third thing that this passage in protection teaches us is to be courageous. To live a life that is truly courageous. To go, God protects me. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and wait. I meet people all the time that go, oh, I want to do great things. I need to pray about that first. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to serve people, but I just don't know how, so I think I'm going to pray about it. God just said serve. Just go do it. Well, I don't know. I don't want to mess up. You're not going to mess up serving people. You're not going to go out and give some people some sandwiches that are homeless and God go, I really don't like the way you made those sandwiches. You're not going to go back into our children's ministry after being background checked, of course. You're not going to go back into our children's ministry and you're going to, and go through a thing, you're going to do all that stuff, and you're going to be back there with the kids and be like, I told them about the lesson, but I think I built that activity wrong. It could look like a Dali painting. It doesn't even matter. But the fact that you were back there and you were down on your hands and knees playing with kids, and they're going to go, man, that person's my hero. When my daughters talk about the people that are back there, they love them teach lessons. They love to do whatever. But what they know is that they're going to show up. And when they don't show up, they're freaking out. And I tell leaders, they're like, oh, well, I had this going on. I was like, my kids were bummed that you weren't there. And they're like, is that supposed to shame me? I said, no, but they're counting on you. They don't even care about me on Sundays. They're looking for you. And I love the fact that we get to teach them to be and teach each other to be courageous in who God designed us to be. Love this passage. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him, protect him, acknowledge him. He'll call on me, I'll answer, I'll be with him in trouble, deliver him. I will satisfy his life with my salvation. I love that my daughters get to sit back there and be a part of that, even though I'll guide them in what it means to read the Bible and pray and all that stuff. And they live this out with God in their life and every other part of their life. Which is why my daughter will hop on a skateboard and she'll ride, and we don't believe in pads because you need to break something every once in a while. And so some parents are like, and they'll get on there I'll still kind of cringe, and she'll cruise. Or you're at the picnic, you may have seen my daughter, Kinley, she's 3 years old, and she had a little scooter, and she was flying down the thing. And I had one of the moms, she's like, oh, she needs a helmet. I was like, no, she needs to go faster. And while it's freaking me out, I want to build in them a courage, not only in the everyday things in life, but in how it means to follow God. God is going to protect you. Yeah, you're going to get hurt from time to time, but even people who don't follow God get hurt. But I want you to have strength and closeness and courage to follow him. And the only way you're going to know that is if I model it. The only way the people around you will ever know that God can do those things is if you believe it and live it. And they can see it in your life. And I encouraged Dad the other day. He's like, my kid won't do this, my kid won't do that, my kid whatever. I was like, well, he's a teenager. He thinks he knows better. He'll realize he'll be at 20. He'll apologize to you later. He's going on and on about everything. But then I asked him, I said, hey, do you model it? He's like, well, yeah, I read my Bible. I said, has your kid ever watched you read your Bible? Not like, sit him down, watch me read my Bible. Like, do this, because that'd be a little weird, all right? You're just going to be the creeper in the corner. I'm going to read the word. But I said, has he ever just walked into the living room and seen you reading your Bible? Well, no. How do you model prayer for your kid? Well, I don't really like praying out loud. Well, of course your kid's not going to pray because he never sees you pray. That's why most kids have the faith of their mother, because women find it very natural to move in faith. Men have a tendency to move away from it because it's not hip, cool, or they don't like surrender because they want to conquer. We want to be conquerors. And I want to tell you this, that God's strength will make you strong. You want to conquer? His strength will make you strong. You've had moments where you've been hurt. His comfort will comfort you. In the moments that you never said anything to anybody else about, he will comfort you. With him, you don't have to keep running at a pace that makes you look like a man. You can be a man and rest in him because he is your protector. And if you want to hand that off, you first must live it, each and every one of us. If you want to wonder why the people around you aren't living a life that honors God, maybe we need to first look in the mirror and go, how am I honoring God with my life? Do I truly believe that he protects me? Because when I live that, others will see it and they'll want it too. Would you pray with me? Thanks for tuning in to the Forefront Church video podcast. Our hope and prayer is that this has left you encouraged and challenged you in your faith. And you might have some questions and some ways that you want to figure this out, and we want to help with that. Head over to forefrontchurch.info, and there's a couple different ways that you can connect. Click the Connect tab and let us know how we can be praying for you, or a staff member can be contacting you this week. Maybe you have just been encouraged by this and want to support the ministry here at Forefront Church. You can click the Giving tab, as well as other tabs that are in there to help you along in your journey with God. And so we're thankful for you. Thanks for tuning in. And we cannot wait to see you again here online on the video podcast. We love you, and we'll see you then.